Welcome to the American Institute of Healthcare Professionals videogram on stress management, entitled today, The Nature of Stress. And what we're going to look at today is what stress is, how stress affects us from a physical standpoint, and how we can better cope with stress and also alleviate the symptoms that are caused by stress. So stress is anything that is external to the body that causes internal responses within the body to that particular stress that is affecting us. It could be another person, it could be a thing, it could be something environmental, but our body is responding to that stressor. The common response to a stressor is fight or flight. And this was very important in humanity's evolution, especially pre-civilization, where if a stressor came your way, say it was a large predator or an animal, our body would respond a certain way to enable us to be able to fight off that threat or to better flee from that threat. So the automatic stress response is very important. And that stress response in particular to an emergency helps us able to do things that we wouldn't normally maybe be able to do. And this is accomplished through a release of adrenaline and cortisol into the blood system. And when this occurs, breathing is increased, the heart rate and blood pressure is increased, our muscles become more tense and ready to react, digestive functions cease, and more energy is put towards getting out of the situation. Blood flow is also reserved mainly to the brain and as well as more important central organs to accomplish the task at hand. In this is the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So when stressed, the sympathetic nervous system is going to take over, and it's going to create those various reactions within the body that we just listed. When not stressed, however, the opposite occurs and the parasympathetic nervous system takes over and it restores the body to a pre-stress functioning. Stress, though, and our reactions to it in the modern world is quite different than our ancestors. Stress reactions in the modern world aren't very conducive or productive because there are not many threats that can actually really harm us, at least physically. A predator isn't going to be in the office building of some type, a giant saber-toothed tiger, or some sort of incident where we're going to have to literally run for our lives. Those are very rare and far between. Instead, stress in the modern world requires a response, but not such an intense response. So whether at work or home or at school or with family or finances, we are constantly bombarded in the modern world with non-lethal threats, but still nonetheless irritations that evoke the stress response. And this is not necessarily a good thing. Being under constant stress that are non-lethal in nature, the body is still going to respond as if it is lethal. And because of that, through the continual experience of the stress response, we notice in a lot of individuals who have high blood pressure that are constantly stressed, they have a higher risk of stroke, heart attack, they experience migraines, ulcers, high levels of anxiety, and other forms of mental distress that can affect secondary systems of the body over time as well. So proper response to stress is key. That's something that we can control. The moment we realize something isn't non-lethal, we need to identify that stressor and respond to it properly. Environmental stress is something that we can identify. If we know what type of environment the stress breeds in, we can then begin to form a better plan in our response to it. So is the stress coming from the office or where you work? Is it at home? Is it with your family? Is it due to finances? So where is the stress coming from? And secondly, can it be resolved? Can it not be resolved? We think of the serenity prayer a lot, to have help with what we can handle and to have patience with what we cannot handle, to let it go until it resolves itself. So what we want to do is worry well. We want to worry on the most primary things that need to be dealt with that we can control, but we want to worry in a way that we don't activate that stress response. We want to worry in a way where we accomplish what needs to be done instead of allowing it to fester, especially maybe late at night when you're lying in bed and you can't fall asleep. That's not worrying well. It's not productive, and it's not going to resolve many things. If the stressor is primarily at work, we have to start to ask ourselves questions, because different individuals have different reactions to work. Some individuals love their career. They love where they work. They're not very stressed, and they do fine. Others have a horrible time at work, and they do not know how they're going to function from day to day. So what we have to look at is the list we have here and identify maybe what the particular issue is at work. Are you being overworked? Are you burned out? Do you bring your work home with you? Does your employer present impossible deadlines? Is there lack of proper equipment or supplies to accomplish tasks in your particular office or on your manufacturing line? Is there an attempt of micromanagement on the top of your employer, being constantly barraged with impossible tasks, but also minute microscopic analyzation of every single thing you do? Or maybe it's the exact opposite of micromanagement. Maybe there's a complete lack of leadership, and that's frustrating. Or maybe you're not giving any chance to put any input into what is being accomplished on the line or in the office, and your ideas are just completely ignored. Or your job may be too challenging, or it may be too simple. So what can be changed, and how can there be a beneficial dialogue between employer and employee, and manager and office personnel? How can things become better so that these issues do not continually build up to a point where someone has a mental breakdown? The second thing is not only where it comes from, but how we interact. And that could be in the office, that could be a home life with your spouse, or if you're still living at home with your parents. It could also have to do with a variety of other things, of finances, and how we deal with those debt collectors and everything. So human interaction is key. And there's two types of personalities that we interact with, and they're pretty much polar opposites. Personality A, it is called, and personality B. Now, personality A is a more active personality. It is more hyper. It is more into what's going on, kind of almost like an obsessive compulsive personality, where it wants things to be done in a certain order, a certain way, and getting things done is really key. And the individual is much more of an active agent in life. Personality B, on the contrary, is more of a relaxed personality, more of a passive personality that isn't as big on maybe deadlines as much. They like to take their time maybe a little bit more. They're not as confrontational as a personality A. So when you have a personality A in the office and a personality B, that might very well be the primary problem. And this is where it becomes important to identify what type of personality you are, but also what type of personality are the individuals that you are working with, or maybe your spouse may be, or maybe what your children may be, or other family members and friends. And in understanding what personalities you are, you kind of know their primary end and where they're thinking from and where they want to go with that. So it's important to know thyself, to know the other person, and to incorporate teamwork, whether it's in the office, at home, at school, or whatever might be occurring. This is very important to stress management. Now, some great strategies to employ for stress management, if you're looking to try to reduce the stress load, in addition to knowing where the stress comes from, in addition to knowing what type of personalities you're dealing with, you can do a lot on your own. You can focus on breathing techniques, which are found in meditation. The breathing techniques can activate the parasympathetic system and reduce a lot of the issues that come with the stress response with fight or flight. Utilizing meditation is key in that, but also utilizing some other relaxation methods, yoga, a massage, acupuncture. Some individuals find a lot just through exercise. Relaxation is another key component. And a lot of individuals, they just don't take time for themselves. They're maybe caregivers and they just care for everyone else and there's no self-care. So relaxation, maybe it will take more. Maybe it'll take a vacation, time away, and so forth. So these are all things that you need to take into consideration. And you can't downplay the danger of stress to your physical health. This is an important thing, and it is a killer. Stress will kill you eventually. So if you want to learn to live better, you want to learn more about stress management, if you want to help others become a certified stress management consultant, then we offer, the American Institute of Healthcare Professionals offers a 4-year certification in stress management consulting for qualified professionals. The training is online and independent study, and it offers the training needed to teach others how to manage stress at home or in the corporate world itself. Here is our stress management consulting training link. There's all the information on the program and also a request for information link. Our phone number at our office is 330-652-7776. Again, that's 330-652-7776. And you can also email us at info@AIHCP.org. And we'll be able to help you with any questions you might have on the certification program in stress management consulting. In the meantime, if you're feeling stressed, remember some of the things that we covered in this video. Relax, identify the stressor, and try just to not allow that stress response to cause physical harm to yourself. With that said, I hope you have a good day, and thank you for listening.